what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video of Ivan Sketch. In today's video, we are going to do some exploration with some very cheap art supplies that I didn't use for a very long while ago. So these are all of the art supplies that I used in my past, and it gives me a lot of flashback by just looking at all of them. So as you guys can see here that the packaging of all of this color, they are pretty old. As most of the color pencil tool here that I use is from when I am in my middle school. It's like back then, I'm an art nerd and also a fat kid. Yeah, I just like to sit at home and draw every day, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Although my art sucks. Anyway, here is the special art supply that I really like to play it while I was in my middle school. But it's also not really an art supply. So you kind of put this art supply on your hand and you kind of rub it, and you let it dry on your hand and you peel it. And suddenly, it became an oddly satisfying art. My middle school in a nutshell. And I wonder how it smells like. And yeah, it's that smell. It smells sucks. Ew, it still sucks. So let's get back to our topic today, and here is the first art supply that we have, and that is the color pencil set. And it's a Faber-Castell brand that comes with a 36 classic color. And this is the most basic coloring tool that I used when I'm younger. And next we have our oil pastel, and it's a 50 color crayon set. And the last time that I used them is when I'm in my art school, back then when I'm engaging in an art project. As I see that they can still do a pretty good blending work. Although it looks like it comes with a wide varieties of the color selection, but the price of it is actually pretty cheap. And the next art supply that we have is the magic pen. And this is the art supply that I didn't really use most of the time. Last but not least, we have our alcohol markers. Oh, alcohol markers. Oh, it tastes good. Kids, do not try this at home. So there are only two alcohol markers that I bought, and there are two types of color. They are cool grey and the warm grey. And I bought them because they can really did a good job of doing the shading work. And also both of these alcohol markers, they are not as pricey as you compare with the copy marker brand. They can be also known as the budget version of the alcohol markers. And I love the mechanism of how the copy markers they are blend when they are coloring in the paper. And I also love the alcohol material. But I bought them mainly for the coloring purpose. Really. Okay, let's experiment with all of the art supplies. The first thing that I did is I start to experiment with different kind of texture to see what can this art supply achieve and what is the limit of all of these art supplies can go through. So the subject that I'm going to draw later is I'm going to draw a lava element dragon. So the first thing that I did here is I try to experiment with the texture and the color scheme of the volcano area. And there are two types of texture that I want to mainly focus on is the texture of the lava and also the texture of the rock. And the important element of testing with all of this art supply is whether if they have the ability to blend together or not. As blending can be considered as one of the important factors in every different kind of drawing. And what I found is the color pencil, copy markers and the oil pastel is a great coloring tool as because they can blend together well. But the magic pen is not a good blender. And besides the mechanic of the blending, all of these art supply they have their very own unique mechanism on working, such as the crayon can create some rough texture. So in my later illustration, I have to find a way to utilize all of these different mechanisms into my final piece of artwork. Next on, we are going to do some quick sketches on my sketchbook. Let's talk about my main concept of designing the dragon that I'm going to draw today. The main theme and the fantasy that I'm going to draw for today's dragon is going to be some Durian and dragon fantasy. I decided to make the graphic and the design ratio of the dragon that I'm going to draw today is going to be some metallic and some rocky dragon. So I quickly picture out my dragon idea from my imagination in the sketch. And I love to challenge myself to draw different types of the dragon shape, as you might get some surprising idea that you cannot anticipate of when you are doing some character design activities like this. Sometimes I also love to break down the structure of the dragon into some simple shape terms that can really help me to understand on how the structure of the dragon actually works. Drawing from imagination can be very challenging, and sometimes it may also be confusing for me to actually redesign the dragon into some complicated shape. So when I figure out that when I cannot really squeeze out my creative idea on designing this kind of complicated shape of the dragon portrait, then I will look for some reference of different kind of dragon drawings from the internet, such as the Pinterest, or maybe you can find it from the Google image. And that can give you a better flow and also a better idea on designing some complex dragon structure shape. Hey guys, let's talk about our sponsor for today's video. And they are my mom and my Patreon. By subscribing to my Patreon, you can get to access to my illustrations that I did in my sketchbook. And also beside that, you can also access to my exclusive step-by-step tutorial that comes with a full drawing process video. As there will still be free content about tutorial in art and drawing in my channel, but I leave the premium one for my Patreon. And also by joining my Patreon, you can get access to my art community, a place that we can discuss fun things and having fun together. Or maybe if you are having trouble, we can help each other. I post the link of my Patreon in my description. If you guys are interested by joining my Patreon, you guys can easily click the link below in my description and get access to the website. And that's for the sponsorship today, and we are going to get back to our final illustration. I start my final illustration by doing quick sketch of the overall dragon portrait with some more defined detail of the dragon structure, such as the detail that is located near at the dragon eyes. Then, I outline the overall shape of the dragon with my fine ballpoint pen without adding some more thicker line detail at first. Because I want to do some shading planning where I want to decide where do the lighting point come from. And then I only apply the thicker line to some shadow area. And one of the methods that I love to use when it comes to inking is I love to make the outline of the subject that I'm drawing to have more thicker line, as it's going to make the subject that you are drawing to look more pop up and give the subject that you are drawing to have a more solid form. So this is the final illustration that we have for today's challenge, and I'm very happy with it, but it's a cheap illustration, but that doesn't really matter a lot because I love the whole drawing process as I render the piece of illustration with different kind of art supply, and I think that is pretty fun. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and don't forget to leave a like for this video and also hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And also you may check out my other social media account like my Patreon or my Instagram, and then we can have fun together, and then we will see you again in my next video.